Next from Springfield, House Minority Leader Jim Durkin also speaks at the event hosted by the Manufacturers and Retail Merchants Association, discussing Governor Rauner's and Republican plans for improving Illinois' business climate. This runs about 20 minutes.
Greg, thank you for those kind words, and it's great to be here today. And I see the blue shirts. I was with Marathon Oil a little bit earlier with Rick Kadansky. Good to see everybody here again. I hope you guys enjoyed your time in the Capitol. And but we've got a lot of things going on in the building right now, so tempers have flared a little bit. So this is what people come down to see. They want to see some theater, and there's plenty of it going on over at the Capitol and also in the City Council today. So, but I'm here to speak on behalf of the governor. But I will tell you that having me substitute as the governor is a considerable downgrade. Let's put it in perspective. The governor is a very successful North Shore, Winnetka, Illinois businessman. And me, I am West Side Irish. So, but still, it's a great honor to be here today to speak to you. And I also, again, want to thank my great friends, and Greg Bays, Mark Densler, Rob Carr with Irma. I've known for a number of years, and I've truly have relied upon their counsel day in and day out in that building, which can be very dysfunctional at times, but they truly are great counsel and advisors to not only Republicans but Democrats. Because, you know, I think it's, we do have to solve our problems in a bipartisan manner, and they both understand that. But I just, you know, I did my little research, and, you know, IMA and Irma, I can always say, are the steady and experienced hands in Springfield. IMA was founded in 1893 in the city of Chicago, and Irma in 1957. That was, all right, I'm going to cross that out. That's my next line, so thank you, Greg. But collectively, think about it. These two groups bring 180 years of experience in advocacy to the Illinois business community, also known as job creators. Some people don't like to hear that in the Capitol, but I love to say that. Advocacy for our job creators, everybody in this room. We clearly are going through a great change in that building, and I think all of us who've been over there can understand it. The status quo has ended. Legislators clearly are nervous. They are unsteady. Tension is clearly building up in the Capitol. I think that's okay. But if you go over in the building, you can clearly feel it, and at times you can smell it as well. All right. I'm not sure. Oh, no, okay, so really, no. But I will say that we are clearly seeing a great change. In my opinion, it is much better. The change is great. That was the message that voters delivered in November. Governor Rauner won this race with more than Republican votes, Democrat votes, but also independent votes. Governor Rauner was told by the voters to get down there and clean up the mess. Now, right now, if you were to just read the headlines and listen to some of the rhetoric that goes on in that building, you would think that Governor Rauner is heartless, soulless, and an individual void of compassion. But the true story about Bruce Rauner is just the opposite. He's doing exactly what a compassionate person should do. He is honest about our state finances and how much we have to spend. That's a novel concept in that building, I'll tell you that, after the last 12 years. But unlike his predecessors, Bruce Rauner will not make false promises that we cannot afford. It hasn't worked, and it will never work. Bruce Rauner loves Illinois and is committed to making our state great again. He has laid out a very ambitious plan to turn Illinois around, and despite the detractors, he is determined to get it done. He is determined and laser-focused on fixing Illinois. To borrow a term from former Governor Mitch Daniels, we will operate at the speed of business, not the speed of government. That could not be more true with this governor. When I first came to the General Assembly, Jim Megger was our governor. At that time, a lot of people complained about Jim Megger because, you know what, people would come in with special requests. I need a little money for this or that, this and that. But Jim Megger, every year, started working on his budget the day after he was sworn in. And he knew exactly how much money he had to spend, and he kept to it. A lot of people were grouchy about it, but the fact is, you look back in time, he really did a great job. And he told me, time and time again, when I've talked to him over the years, that that is the single most important function of a governor. You know, there's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of pageantry that goes in with the office, and you can do all kinds of things with legislation, but he said the most important thing a governor has to do is get his arms around a budget. That, to me, is wise. And the fact is, you look back in time, look at what other governors have done. It's been a mess. Our budget has been a mess. And this is what Jim Egger has imposed that, and he's counseled Governor Rauner on that, and he's following in that model, and thank God. I will just say this, spending within our means is the only way we're going to get out of this mess. It's going to take some time. We didn't get here overnight, but hang in there, folks. We'll get there. We've got to stick with our governor, but the fact is our budget is right now under scrutiny, and that is a major focus. That's what's driving everything in that building right now. But it is not going to be easy, and the darkest hour of the day is just before dawn. Folks, the governor is moving us through the darkness, and there will be a bright new day ahead of us. For many years, the previous administrations have vilified our business community, our job creators. Those days are over. We need to honor our employers, our job creators. We should be giving you a hero's welcome on a daily basis. I want to personally thank you for staying here. It could have been very easy to move to a surrounding state, and I know some people have. But thank you for staying here, staying in this great state, and thank you for keeping your doors open for your employees. Thank you. Now, with this governor, you truly have an ally. He gets it. In order for Illinois to fully recover, we need an environment where businesses can grow and create jobs, where Illinois can go from being last in every metric of success to once again being a top performer nationwide. Today, businesses around the country are a little bit nervous about Illinois and afraid to take a chance in Illinois. Let's face it, we have not been a very business-friendly state under Democrat control in the governor's office for the last 12 years. But to steal a phrase from his neighboring state, Illinois is open for business again under Bruce Rauner. The way I look at it, manufacturing must advance, or the state of Illinois won't. Retail must advance, or the state of Illinois won't. With this governor, we can accomplish that. But we can't do it alone. With your help, we are going to drive those principles over the next year after that, over the next 4 years, when people finally understand that the backbone of this state are our small businesses, our manufacturers, and our retailers. Those are the ones that put people to work, that keep them off the unemployment lines. We just went through a process. Now, when Governor Rauner was sworn in on stage, the minute he took his hand off the Bible, he inherited a $1.6 billion unbalanced budget. Now, I know that there was some speakers that were here a little bit earlier, and they had plenty to say about the governor. But now, last May, when that budget was passed, it was, and they knew full well, and they publicly stated that this is not a budget that is real. It was a budget that was made on false promises. It was also a budget that was prefaced on Governor Quinn being reelected and for the lame duck session to occur, which would make permanent the temporary tax increase from 4.5 years ago. Didn't quite work out. That's not how you go about a budget. But no Republicans supported that budget last May. It wasn't responsible. It wasn't responsible at all, and we found out recently how irresponsible it was. But the fact is, I made a commitment with the Speaker. The Speaker in January said at the swearing in that he is welcoming back Republicans for active participation in state government. Well, all right, our first and most important item of business, and it took a little too long, we could have done it sooner, but we had to balance the FY15 budget. Oh my God, we have to do that. It's responsible. It's the most important thing we have to do as a legislature. We did it, and we did it in a bipartisan manner, but at the end of the day, out of the 69 votes that were cast in the House, 46 of them came from the Republicans. Every Republican supported that. And the majority of the votes in the Senate came from the Senate Republicans to fix the mess that was left for the state of Illinois and for this governor last May. So I guess the message I have from that is the House Republicans are not the party of no. The Senate Republicans are not the party of no. Bruce Rauner is not the governor of no. We are prepared to work hard to address and get the biggest problems of the day solved. So when you hear things about Republicans are not participating, they're the party of no, it's a lot of nonsense. We've proven that time and time again over the past 2 years, whether it's pension votes for the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois, big infrastructure bill we did last year. House Republicans have been at the forefront on all this, and we're going to continue that way. But, you know, this is a political environment, and you'll hear a lot of things about us, but don't buy it. We're the ones that cleaned up the mess that was created by the majority party, and most of them didn't even have the courage to vote the appropriate way and say, you know, we made a mistake, and I'm glad to fix it, because we would have done that. But anyway, just some of the problems of FY15. I mean, it got very close to a very crucial time in the state government. We were going to lose our child care program. That is not something that would be good. It would be terrible. We also would have had a situation where court reporters would not get paid. What do? They walk off the job. So I'm a practicing attorney, so I guess what we'll have to do then, without the court reporters, is that we will have to rely upon the honor system within the courtrooms with the attorneys and litigants to make sure that whatever transpired that we will agree upon. And also, even more, I think, troubling was that we would have run out of pay within the Illinois Department of Corrections with our prison guards. Now, the question, if they are not getting paid, and if they are not going to show up to work, again, we will have to rely upon the honor system within the Illinois Department of Corrections and the inmates to behave. So anyway, we couldn't let that happen. It went too long, but we fixed it. There's people who are going to criticize for some of the things that we had to cut, but we have to cut because we just don't have the money. It's real simple. You spend what you have. We know exactly how much money we have to spend, and we get that every year through our agencies, and we're not going to spend above that. But for the first time, I'm pleased to say that in 12 years, we actually balanced the budget, and it took a little bit of time. It's a little bit late, you know, because our fiscal year is going to be running out in about 3 months, but I'm glad to say that we did balance the budget. But now we're into FY16. Governor Browner did present his budget address, and for the first time in a number of years, the budget address was delivered on time. So that was a good sign. But the governor also stated that the legislature needs to support a budget that is premised on one very basic notion. The same notion most of us exercise in our homes and our businesses: spend only as much as you bring in and no more. The governor is committed to spending anywhere between $32, $33 billion. It was what we estimate to have in FY16. That's what we believe we'll take in our state treasury. But not unexpectedly, some are loudly complaining about Governor Rauner's proposed cuts and reforms. Remember, he offered his budget as a blueprint, but it'll be up to the legislature, and we're kind of going through an exercise right now, some theatrics over there down the street. But we have to work in a bipartisan manner, something that I have committed to, and my caucus is committed to, and so is Senator Radonio and the governor, to determine how we're going to spend these dollars. I fully expect the majority party Democrats will try pushing a revenue number that is much higher than what we believe our estimates will be. We will not support a budget that is unbalanced. Those days are over. It is my hope that the majority party will cooperate with the governor, and we've got some 25 calendar days left. Work with us and the governor to craft a final budget where spending matches our revenue. It's a simple concept. But we also need to remember that basic concept of living within your means. Years and years of overspending have left us with deep structural deficits, massively underfunded pension systems, and billions of dollars in unpaid bills. So what a lot of individuals are asking us, well, it's real simple, Jim. Why don't you just raise taxes? I can repeat this, and I think you all understand that, but it was 4.5 years ago during a lame duck session where the temporary tax increase was imposed upon Illinois employers and Illinois families. And it was sold to Illinoisans, and I remember it like it was yesterday, that this is a way for us to pay our bills, and this is our way to put people back to work, reduce unemployment. Our bills at that time were about $8 billion. Unemployment was close to 7 to 8%. And we're going to fix the structural problems within the state of Illinois, whatever that means, I don't know. But it didn't quite work out. So after 4 years, and despite $31 billion new dollars coming into the state over that 4-year period, here's where we're at today. The backlog of unpaid bills is still between $6 and $7 billion. Our unfunded pension liability is about $100 billion. And while our unemployment rate is still low sixes, if you count in those who are underemployed and people who have completely dropped out of sight, we're looking at close to 12% in the state of Illinois if you add all those factors. That is unacceptable. That tax increase did not solve the problems, and we're not prepared to go back and say that we have to have a tax increase. We need to give confidence to you that we can live within our means. And I tell you what, you all deserve, and everybody, whether it's individually or also the businesses, you make an investment every April, and a lot of us do it on a quarterly basis. You expect a return off your investment. And I'm embarrassed to say that for a number of years, you have not gotten a good return off that investment. We understand that. So the governor has made it very, very clear that we have to reform state government. He has a turnaround agenda that he is in city council, and I give him a lot of credit for going up there. This is the first governor ever to address the city council in Chicago, let alone a Republican governor. So that's why maybe some of the action in the House and some of the rhetoric is a little bit rough today, but I will give him credit. He's got backbone, and that's somebody we need. We are committed to passing an agenda that will free employers, local governments, and schools from unfunded mandates that are making the cost of doing business in Illinois cost prohibitive. We are pursuing reforms that will lower work comp insurance rates, unemployment insurance rates. Now, yesterday, we had a little exercise in the House of Representatives. It's called the Committee on the Whole. So, of course, in the spirit of bipartisan cooperation, I received notice of this committee Friday afternoon at 4:45. Okay, and the committee was set to meet yesterday at noon. So I made a request to the Speaker that we would like to participate, and we would like to have and suggest members of the business community to be part of this Committee on the Whole, to talk about work comp reform. Didn't quite get that response, nor was I obliged. So at 11:40 yesterday, we went in at noon. We were going to do the committee a whole at noon. So 11:40, I finally received the list of witnesses that were going to be presented to the General Assembly. Again, I go back to January, where the Speaker stated that he welcomes Republicans' active participation in state government. A little bit of a problem there. But the fact is, I did ask him for another day where we can bring in members of the business community. And Greg, thank you for what you did yesterday. I appreciate it. But unfortunately, some of our good friends were shut out. Irma, retail merchants were not involved. They were not asked to participate. Caterpillar has a great interest in this. They were not asked to participate. John Deere, some of our local governments, not asked to participate. So I am hoping that we can have another day. Because I stated that, yes, we are serious and we need to respect the workers who are employed in the job, who are workers who are hurt in the job. But there's another story. There's another side to the story. Show what the workmen's compensation rules and laws have done to the business community in Illinois. They need to hear that. Some people think that that the businesses are doing too well in Illinois under the system, but the fact is they need to hear firsthand of what the rates are doing to the state of Illinois, and whether or not some of our large manufacturers are going to continue to do business in this state. I've heard it from some folks. They said, "Look, under the rates you have right now, I'm not going to open up another manufacturing line in the state of Illinois. I'll go over to Indiana. It's extremely, extremely reasonable and it's competitive, but it's not in the state of Illinois." That's a lot of money. That's a lot of jobs. So yesterday we heard a lot of experiences from people who were injured in the job, and it was very sad to hear about how people got injured. And I believe that the system in place will help them. It'll make them as whole as they can financially to help their families. But we also have to be fair to the businesses. The people who are paying these rates, paying into these systems. We have to be fair to them as well. So we have a lot of things going on. Right now it's the month of May in Springfield, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but as we get closer to the end of session, you can pretty much equate legislators having the attention spans of gnats. There's so many things that are going on, ADD everywhere. So we're in the midst of a lot of issues that we're trying to work on. But the governor has made a strong commitment that he plans to have an infrastructure program, a very bold capital infrastructure program. And I'm pleased that he has his Secretary of Transportation who is traveling the state of Illinois in all areas of the state, getting recommendations on what is important for people in these different regions, something that we have not done before. But the governor is committed to doing that, and it's not just rhetoric. One of the things we also hear is that from the business community is a need to prepare students for the future. To that end, Governor Rauner is proposing to increase funding from pre-K to 12 through 12th grade education, and he's pushing to expand vocational and technical program resources and wants to grow our partnership with employers, high schools, and community colleges. The items on its agenda go much further than I could really mention today, and I don't think you need to hear too much from me after this. But the goal is the same. We need to bring fiscal sanity and stability back to the state of Illinois, improve our business climate, and ultimately create good jobs for Illinois families. Over the next few weeks, we're going to We're going to need your help to pass this budget as we get closer. Like I said, we've got about 25 calendar days to go, but a budget that's fair, one that's responsible to citizens of Illinois, and also responsible for the people who put men and women to work. Those are you in this room. And that includes reforms that we have to unemployment insurance, but also work comp insurance, work comp reform. Work out to your legislators. Our caucus is committed. But talk to the Democrats how important it is that we support the governor's agenda, because it is going to put people back to work. It's going to make Illinois a great state again, something that I've always believed, and I still believe it. We have a great state, a state that I'm very proud of. I often talk about this. I'm very fortunate. I'm a very fortunate individual. I'm very lucky. I grew up in the west suburbs, one of 8 boys that lived in a 3-bedroom house, 2 bathrooms. So, but the fact is, that's how you knew it. You understood it. But we all graduated from the same Catholic high school. We all graduated from the same Catholic grammar school, high school. All 8 of us graduated from college. 5 of us are practicing attorneys. One's a judge in a federal court. And of the 5 attorneys, 3 are CPAs. We were able to chase the American dream through the sacrifices made by our parents, but also based on the wonderful opportunities from education and employment in the state of Illinois. Every one of us lives and works here, raises our family in the Chicago area. And we did, and we are living the American dream. But I am also, despite I'm the House Republican leader, I'm also a taxpayer, and I'm a father, and I'm a husband. And I am worried about the next generation, about what is going to be left for them. To me, that would be an absolute shame. It would be the worst thing in the world if our kids are not going to have something left for them in the state of Illinois, for them to be able to pursue the American dream like everyone in this room did. To me, that would be an absolute shame. So I'll just end and say that, you know, something my parents always told me over the years, and it makes more sense right now. Leave a place in a better shape than you found it. And that's our responsibility, and that needs to be our commitment to families, our businesses, but also generations to come in the state of Illinois. Thank you so much for having me address you for a few minutes. And all I will say is that, folks, my promise to you is that I will work hard and I will do my best on your behalf. Thank you.
You're watching the Illinois Channel, an independent nonprofit corporation formed to provide gavel-to-gavel coverage of Illinois state government and other public affairs events taking place across Illinois.